I haven't done one of these in a while. All right, and welcome in everybody. Hope y'all are having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Take, coming at you with my full first round mock draft 3.0, coming out a day before the draft, right in time for the big show in Pittsburgh. I am so excited. I am hyped for this draft class and what I think my Tennessee Titans are going to do, but we are here to talk about what I think every team will do in the first round with 3.0. Now, before we start, normally I like to make my last mock draft before the first round, my official prediction. This year is not going to be a prediction because there is so much stuff that might go down. There's so many things that might change. It's so hard. This is not going to be a true prediction because of that. Like, there's going to be a lot of trades, reportedly. I can't predict that. I'm not going to attempt to predict that. I mean, I'm not going to try and throw my mind in or become 32 individual GMs and try and figure out what they think and who's going to trade for what, how much it's going to be for. Like, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not, like, that tapped in to be able to do that, but I do feel pretty comfortable about all the picks and who's going where. I feel pretty confident in a lot of these picks. There's some I will say, like, when we get to them, that I'm like dead on this is going to be the pick. So there is that. And as of trades, like I just mentioned a second ago, trades, we do have a big one at the top. There will be a trade in the top 10 in this draft, and I think I have an idea on who that might be and who it's going to be for. And other than that, there could be a couple points where I mention a trade could happen when we get to it. There is one in particular that I will talk about when we get there, but that is something else to note. And then other than that, breaking down the picks, this will be as simple. Here's the pick, and I'll explain why. I'm not going to be breaking down any players in this mock draft. The draft is literally in a couple days. By the time recording this, you guys are seeing this day before the draft kicks off. So at this point, I'm going to assume all of us have a decent understanding or have some form of understanding of the player pool that is going in the first round of the draft. So even though there are some players that are going to make it on this board for the first time in any of my mock drafts, so if you're here for analysis on these players, I'm sorry. I'm going to just explain each pick and why I think it makes sense because the draft is literally right around the corner. So with that being said, we will jump in to the mock, and obviously this has not changed. Fernando Mendoza is going first overall to the Los Angeles. What the heck? The Raiders haven't played in Los Angeles in years. Okay, what am I talking about? The Las Vegas Raiders are going to take Fernando Mendoza first overall. That's cut and dry. That's going to stay the same. Number 2 overall, I still have the Jets taking Arvell Reese. Despite all of the speculation and all the flip-flopping between Arvell Reese and David Bailey going second overall, if I'm the New York Jets, there is nothing that David Bailey is as a prospect that Arvell Reese can't be, but much better. Arvell Reese has such a much higher ceiling, in my opinion, because of his versatility, because of his explosiveness, because of his violent nature on the field, and also the character stuff. Arvell Reese is a hard worker, and there's been questions about David Bailey's practice habits. Had a couple off-field issues as well to note after football games. So I think there's no question that the Jets are going to take Arvell Reese. Other than being a pure pass rusher, there is nothing that David Bailey, to me, is better at than Arvell Reese in terms of ceiling and what they could be potential-wise. I think Arvell Reese is better. So I have them going number 2 to the Jets. And then we get to pick 3, and here's the trade. I have the Dallas Cowboys trading up with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona gets pick 12 and pick 20 from Dallas, and the Cowboys trade up to select third overall David Bailey out of Texas Tech. The reports are out that the Dallas Cowboys want to trade up, presumably for a strong defensive player. They need edge rusher. They need linebacker. They need corner. They need a lot on this defense to make it better. And why not go get the best pure pass rusher right now? You have an offense that is ready to go to the playoffs and compete right now. You need to get this defense up to where it needs to be. And David Bailey has the ability to start day one, be a pass rusher day one, and contribute right away. And that's why they're taking David Bailey. Jerry Jones is someone that does not care his actions indicate that he does not care about character stuff. That's fine by me. And also, out of all these other teams that have multiple first-round picks that could trade up into the top 10 of this draft, the only one I could realistically see making that type of a jump is the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think Jerry Jones is afraid to make that type of choice. Some of these other teams, like the Kansas City Chiefs, have been rumored to want to trade up. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think that they need to. Where they need players, they can wait and pick Mansour Delane, which I have them picking Mansour Delane. A little bit of a spoiler, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Now, with David Bailey going to the Dallas Cowboys, that's all I'm breaking down out of the way. Next, number 4, I have the Titans taking Jeremiah Love. I think that will be the pick for the Tennessee Titans. I am very confident in that. I think if it's not Jeremiah Love, they will probably try to trade down. Now, if Jeremiah Love ends up going through to the Cardinals, okay, Titans are definitely trading down at pick 4. But in this scenario, both the top 2 edge rushers are off the board. In that case, I think the Titans would take Jeremiah Love, take the best player available, an explosive playmaker to help Cam Ward. No problems there. Number 5, I have the New York Giants selecting Sonny Styles, a linebacker out of Ohio State. Linebacker is one of the biggest needs on the New York Giants, and now you get an elite prospect in Styles, and you anchor the middle of your defense for a decade. Plain and simple, I think Sonny Styles, with the front that they have in New York, even now without Dexter Lawrence, we'll talk about that more when we get to pick 10, he's still going to be fantastic, I think, in New York. That has not changed very much for me. And then we get to number 6 with the Cleveland Browns, and I have them taking offensive tackle Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. Right now, the Cardinals are not taking Mauigoa. All the reports and analysts are showing that they're not, so I'm going to go into the impression that the Cardinals are not. So in that case, the next best team that fits that needs an offensive tackle really high is the Cleveland Browns. And I think taking Mauigoa is a smart move. I don't think you should take DeJuan Jones as your starting left tackle going into next year. I don't think that's smart. Bring in Mauigoa, let him compete. And if anything, if Mauigoa's arm length doesn't translate to the next level and he has to transition into guard, I think he's going to be a really good guard as well. The way he moves in the run game, the way he sets his feet, his hands, they're all good enough to be a day one starter and be good at tackle or guard, in my opinion. So you're getting a good player nonetheless. Then we go to number 7. I have the Washington Commanders selecting Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. The next best receiver, or it's not the next best receiver. No receiver's gone off the board yet. But right now, Carnell Tate is a safe, comfortable pick, and I think the Commanders are going to go receiver here. I don't think they go edge rusher. Or linebacker. Well, obviously they can't linebacker, but maybe if they trade up, they would. But in this slot, if they don't trade up and they stick and pick at 7, it's going to be a wide receiver, in my opinion. And Carnell Tate, while I don't think he's the best receiver in this draft, he, like I said a second ago, he is the safest option. And if you want a guy that's going to win down the field vertically and help Jaden Daniels on 50-50 balls and also help Terry McLaurin out, you have 2 strong physical wide receivers running around. Guess what? Look at how well the Dallas Cowboys offense performed. And when we talk about the New York Giants here in a second, and the Carnell Tate pick makes that much more sense to me. Then we get to pick number 8, and I still have the Saints selecting Ruben Bain out of Miami. This one I'm confident is going to be the pick for the New Orleans Saints. A report came out earlier in the week that, Ruben Bain got into a car accident last year, and it led to someone passing a few weeks later. Well, the reason why that I'm not having Ruben Bain drop down draft boards like a lot of people in the public would assume was because teams have been aware of this problem. Should I say that? I'm sorry. But this event, I should say, teams have openly or reportedly have been aware about it for a long time. So at this point, I don't think it would affect Ruben Bain's draft stock if teams already knew about it, right? So I think he's going to stay at top 10. He's a top 5 player overall, prospect-wise. Ruben Bain the Saints get a fantastic run-stuffing, high upside pass rusher in Bain that helps elevate their front 4. Then we get to the number 9 with the Chiefs, and I have them selecting Mansour Delane out of LSU. He's the best corner prospect in this draft. While he's undersized a little bit, he plays with great technique, and I think he'll start day 1 right away for the Chiefs. He will play well, and you need cornerback. Plain and simple, you're getting the best one on the board. I know that some people want wide receiver, maybe. Some people want edge rusher. No, go cornerback. You traded away Trent McDuffie. You let go of Jalen Watson. You need a young corner to build around. And while there might be better value late in the first round, which there definitely will be, this is this fit just makes too much sense to me. I don't think they pass on Mansour Delaney. I don't think they can do that. Then you get to number 10, where the New York Giants are picking because they traded Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals, which, by the way, the Bengals getting Dexter Lawrence for just one first-round pick is an absolute steal. Straight up. I'm not going to say the Giants got fleeced here. I'm not going to explain why. Let me just briefly explain it. Because the 2026 draft is not very good. 2027 draft is going to be very, very good, and teams do not want to give up 2027 capital. That's how that works. That's why this trade went for the price that it did. But anyways, the Giants are now picking at 10, 2 top 10 picks, and they need to get a wide receiver, and I have them taking Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. He has been hurt this entire process, but recently he had a workout. 20 teams were in attendance, including the Giants, and he looked good. He ran routes well. He looked healthy, and I think at that point, if he looks healthy and he's ready to go, if I'm the New York Giants, I would have run up to the podium and select Jordan Tyson. He is the only receiver in this draft that has true elite top 5 superstar potential at wide receiver, and you get Malik Nabers and Jordan Tyson running around, 2 alpha number 1 receivers. And I just mentioned Dallas with George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. Look at Washington with Cardinal Tate in this draft and Terry McLaurin. All these guys, and look at Philly, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. What do all these teams have in common? They have two great elite wide receivers on the outside. That is how you're going to win the NFC East, and I think the Commanders will double up on wide receiver with Cardinal Tate and Terry McLaurin, and then the Giants will take Jordan Tyson and pair him with Malik Nabers. Then we get to pick 11 for the Miami Dolphins, and I have them selecting wide receiver Mekhi Lemon out of USC. At this point, I can't talk around it anymore. Wide receiver is the biggest need for the Miami Dolphins, straight up. And getting a receiver like Lemon with the skill set that he brings, I think could translate really early for Miami, help give Malik Willis a little bit of a security blanket with explosive upside. I think it makes too much sense for Miami. I know you can't take a pure slot that high, but in this type of draft class, with the overall prospect pool rated as it is, why not? You need a wide receiver. He's the best available. Take him. Then we get to number 12, where the Cardinals are now picking, and I have them taking Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. I think that obviously they need a pure right tackle. Monroe Freeling is a pure right tackle. And with the athletic upside, the tools, I think that the Cardinals would take a little bit more of a project offensive lineman with high upside here because they're a rebuilding football team. They have a new head coach coming in. They need a new quarterback, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. So why would you take a pro-ready prospect, say more like Spencer Fano, rather than Monroe Freeling, who has higher upside and needs and will be better in 2 to 3 years, when the Cardinals are going to be theoretically a much better team and a much more competitive football team, right? So you take a guy that needs a little bit of refinement, a little bit of development, and with a rebuilding football team, by the time he's ready to go and be fantastic, the Cardinals are going to be fantastic. That's the idea here. We're taking Monroe Freeling. And then we get to 13, and I have the Rams taking Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah. It is rumored, and it has been speculated, maybe confirmed, that the Rams want to trade up for a weapon. They tried to do it last year with Tetairoa McMillan. They tried to do it the year before with tight end Brock Bowers. I don't think that they're going to get that opportunity. So if they don't, they're going offensive line, and I think taking Spencer Fano is a great option. He's a great fit in the Rams offense, and even if he plays tackle or guard, I think he's going to be a good player at both, just like Francis Mauigoa when we talked about him. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go offensive line here and solidify that offense and help continue to build that offensive line and keep it great for years to come. Now we move to pick 14. The Baltimore Ravens select tight end Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Very controversially, I left him out of Mock 2.0, and that was because I just couldn't figure out who was going to pick tight end in the first round. A lot of these teams don't need a tight end. Baltimore, though, could be an option here, and because Mark Andrews is not getting any older, he's 30 years old, and they lost Isaiah Likely, and then the third string tight end that they had that a lot of people like that I don't remember. I don't remember his name. I apologize. But the bottom line is you need another tight end in the room, and you also need an explosive pass-catching weapon. And the best one available that does both is Kenyon Sadiq. Plain and simple. You get an explosive playmaker, a future replacement for Mark Andrews, all in one piece. You kill multiple birds with this one stone that is Kenyon Sadiq. I really, really like this pick and the fit with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that's going to be a fun duo with him and Lamar Jackson. Then we get to pick 15. And if you're wondering, this player has not been called yet in a spot where he probably should be off the board. And that is corner Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee. I think there's a possibility Jermon McCoy slides here just because all these teams in pick 12 through pick 21, 22, they don't desperately need a cornerback. Some teams could use a cornerback in this spot, but not so much so that they would take a cornerback over a much bigger need. For example, with the Lions in offensive tackle. The Bucs need an edge rusher really, really bad. And I think if Jermon McCoy is still on the board, I think they would still take him over an edge rusher because I'm not confident in Zion McCollum, Benjamin Morrison, and was it Jacob Parrish, their rookie third-round pick corner? I don't think you can go into next year with those three guys as your corners alone. I think you need another talented corner in that room. And again, I know they need an edge rusher. They need a better pass rush. A lot of the secondary's problems last year was because they did not have a good pass rush, especially on the edge. So edge is a much bigger need. But if Jermon McCoy is on the board, the talent, the age makes so much sense to be an elite superstar corner for years and years to come for Tampa. You want to talk about the second coming of Rondé Barber? Jermon McCoy is right there for the taking. Take him. Take him over Akeem Mesidor, who's been mocked for the Bucs. Why would you pass on Jermon McCoy for a 25-year-old edge rusher that's not even going to make it to a second contract? Yeah, it'll help you right away on pass rush, which is your biggest need, but Jermon McCoy could be on your team for 15 years compared to 5, right? That's what we're going for here with Jermon McCoy. Then we get to pick 16 with the New York Jets, and I have them selecting safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. They do not need a safety right now, but Andre Cisco is on the last year of his contract. You let Caleb Downs be a traffic cop, big nickel safety that patrols the middle of the field, plays in run defense, covers tight ends. He is a chess piece on your defense, and for Aaron Glenn, I think you cannot pass on that. I don't think Caleb Downs falls anywhere past 16. I don't think he gets to 18 where the Vikings are sitting there mouths watering for a safety at this moment. So if the Jets don't take him at pick 16, I think someone will trade up to go get him. I think Caleb Downs is that good of a prospect. I think he's very, very talented, can start day one and contribute right away. But for the Jets, they get a future piece in the secondary. And if you have a duo of Minkah Fitzpatrick and Caleb Downs working in your back end in the secondary, I think that's a great idea. I think that's great on paper. I think that has a lot of upside to be fantastic. You might be looking at one of the best safety duos in the NFL in a couple of years with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Caleb Downs. Then we move to pick 17 now. And now I have the Lions taking offensive tackle Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Proctor has kind of growing back on people as of late. And I think with Caden Proctor's size, get the weight down a little bit, but his athleticism, his ability to drive guys and really block well in the run game, and you can help get the weight down, make him a little bit faster in pass protection, and make him less of a liability because of the size. I think Caden Proctor fits so much with what the Lions want to be, what they're trying to do. It makes way too much sense. I think Caden Proctor would be perfect in the Lions offense. Then we get to pick 18, and I have the Vikings taking safety Dylan Thielman out of Oregon. That will be the pick for the Minnesota Vikings. That is their biggest need, and Dylan Thielman is the next best player at safety in this draft class. Unless they go Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is definitely in contention for that spot, but I think they go Dylan Thielman because he brings a little bit more versatility to their defense. Then, at pick 19, right now I have the Panthers taking KC Concepcion out of Texas A&M. The GM of the Panthers said that they were not going to shy away from the possibility of taking another wide receiver in round 1 3 years in a row. Xavier Legette has not worked out. Ted McMillan was Offensive Rookie of the Year. But if you want to add an explosive score from anywhere playmaker like Concepcion, I am not going to be upset about that. I would be excited for that. You add Tetairoa McMillan, who is big, strong, physical, and Concepcion, who's swifty, quick, and fast. That's a great dynamic right there. I'm not going to turn down adding Bryce or more weapons for Bryce Young. But pick 19, because of the Cardinals picking at 20, that spot becomes an immediate trade watch for the Carolina Panthers, because there's going to be a couple other teams that might be looking for a quarterback, maybe Ty Simpson, and the Cardinals are sitting right there at pick 20. And I think we'll kind of piggyback or kind of bridge it over to the pick at 20. I have the Cardinals taking Ty Simpson, the quarterback out of Alabama, because they want the peace of mind of securing the next best quarterback in the draft. Could you get a bunch of other prospects that I think are better right now? Absolutely. Absolutely they could. But the thing is, you got some teams early in the second round that if you let Ty Simpson pass, there are many teams in the late 20s that are willing to trade down, and someone will get a package to go up and get Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson will go in the first round. That is a 100% set in stone fact. But for the Cardinals at pick 20, take Ty Simpson right now. Secure a franchise quarterback for the future. Get that peace of mind. You got him a franchise tackle. You already have Paris Johnson as well. I think Ty Simpson going to the Cardinals makes a lot of sense for them. And I do not think that at 20, anyone's going to be able to trade up to 19 for Carolina to jump them. I think the cost to move up that high will be too big of a price. And like I said in the beginning, teams do not want to trade 2027 capital. They do not want to trade it if they can help it. And I don't think that they're going to be able to trade up this high without giving up some of that precious capital. So with this trade down, the Cardinals have Ty Simpson for free for them to take and them alone. Now we move to 21, and I have the Steelers picking Vega Ioane out of Penn State. I think with his skill set, his mentality is it screams Pittsburgh, and he'll come in day one, be really good day one. I think Vega Ioane could be fantastic to start, and the Steelers need offensive line help. They have the weapons. They don't have the quarterback. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers does. But if you have a good offensive line and you have good weapons, no matter who's at quarterback, I think with Mike McCarthy as your head coach, I think there's a good chance that this offense is going to perform and do pretty well this year for the most part. And Vega Ioane makes so much sense here for them as well with the big need at guard. I didn't mention that. Then we get to pick 22, and the Chargers are also going to take a guard. I have them taking Chase Basantis, the guard out of Texas A&M, who's gotten official, true, real first-round buzz this time around. And Basantis not only fits really well with what the Chargers are trying to do, they need athletic guards for reach blocks, for wide zone in Mike McDaniel's scheme, so it makes a lot of sense. And Basantis has tools and skill to start day one and contribute. Right now, their three interior guys are Trevor Penning, Tyler Biadasz, and Cole Strange. That is despicable. I am not going to roll on the field with one of those guys. Probably not Cole Strange. I would throw out Cole Strange, throw in Chase Basantis, and there you go. Now you have a guard. He reminds me a lot of Peter Skoronski. That's kind of like his pro comp for me. And so on one side, you have Rashawn Slater and Trevor Penning. And then on the other side, you have Joe Alt, a superstar right tackle, and then Chase Basantis. I think that's a much better offensive line going into 2026 than what it was in 2025 for LA. Now we get to pick 23. The Eagles, I still have them taking an offensive tackle to replace Lane Johnson in the future, and that is Blake Miller out of Clemson. High upside, brings a lot to the table, really good run blocker, fits exactly what what the Eagles need on their offensive line. I think he'll have, obviously with Lane Johnson, he'll have the time to develop, learn, and then next year after Johnson retires, boom, Blake Miller now steps in as your right tackle of the future. Pick 24, I have the Browns taking Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. Wide receiver is another big need for the Cleveland Browns, and because they don't go wide receiver at the top, they're going to get a wide receiver right now, and Omar Cooper, not a number one receiver by any means, but he's very solid, very high floor, versatile, explosive. He can do a little bit of everything, and Omar Cooper will be good for the Browns as a rookie. I will go as far as to say that he will get 700, 800 yards as a rookie. I will call that right now. Crazy prediction, I know. But Omar Cooper, I think, can be a really good contributor day one compared to a lot of these prospects. I think he has a chance to do well early on. Then at 26, or wait, nope, 25. I completely skipped over the Bears, sorry. Excuse me. Now at pick 25, I have the Chicago Bears taking edge rusher Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. He's fallen down boards a little bit, Mesidor, because of the age. But Chicago, they are in win now mode. Their Super Bowl window has been busted open. And if you want another edge rusher that can help right away, that can help elevate this pass rush to another level, Akeem Mesidor is that. Yes, the age is a concern. And are you going to give him a second contract by the time he's 29 years old, pushing 30? Probably not. But guess what? That doesn't matter. The Bears need players that can help right now, and Akeem Mesidor helps right now. Right freaking now. And while Peter Woods and Caden McDonald, the two defensive tackles, got a Clemson and Ohio State respectively, are in contention for this spot because the Bears do need defensive tackle, I think they ultimately settle on edge, which is going to lose value very, very quickly, as we'll detail here in a moment. Then at pick 26, I have the Buffalo Bills taking wide receiver Denzel Boston out of Washington. This will be the pick for Buffalo. This will be the pick. And if they do not come away with a wide receiver in round one, I will be incredibly disappointed. Incredibly disappointed. As much as people have complained about the Bills not getting weapons for Josh Allen, you cannot draft DJ Moore and not come away with a talented receiver in round one. And I've been saying it for months, ever since I started making these mocks. Denzel Boston would round out that wide receiver trio perfectly with DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir. It's too good. It makes too much sense. So Brandon Beane, don't mess this up. Take Denzel Boston. Thank you. Now we move to pick 27, and I have them taking Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. He's going to be a I shouldn't say pure right tackle. I think he is. I know he definitely played right tackle, I'm pretty sure. But the thing is, Caleb Lomu, he brings a lot in pass protection. He's a good, ready to go in pass pro. And then in run blocking, needs a little bit of work, but has shown that he has good upside in that department. And what he did at Utah, the scheme fits with exactly what the 49ers are trying to do. Bingo, scheme fit, ready to go in pass pro, upside in run blocking. I think Caleb Lomu makes a lot of sense. And for another team that is trying to contend right now, building your offensive line is never a bad idea. Then we get to pick 28 with the Texans, and I have them taking offensive guard Keelan Rutledge out of Georgia Tech, the big, strong, mauling guard. And between Keelan Rutledge and Oregon's Emmanuel Pregnone, there's two options here. Pregnone is much stronger and more upside, but Keelan Rutledge, while he's also very strong in his own right, doesn't have high of a ceiling, but is ready to start right now and probably be very good right now. And with the Houston Texans, they want someone that believe they want someone that needs to start right away, play well right away, and I think Keelan Rutledge fits that mold, who is strong, gets moving in the run game, fits exactly with what the Texans are trying to do on offense, running the ball in between the tackles. Keelan Rutledge is a great option here, and I think that it's such a great fit as well. I think that the Texans need to go offensive line in the first round. If they do not go offensive line in the first round, as a football fan, I'd be disappointed. As a Titans fan, I will be laughing my butt off if they blow this pick. Now we get to pick 29, and the Kansas City Chiefs need to have an edge rusher, and I have them taking Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. He has a lot of upside, Falk does, but the thing is, he's not going to be a 3-down player right away. He is going to be an early down, run-stuffing defensive lineman, edge rusher, and then on passing downs, he's going to go off the field because he has no pass rush, doesn't have moves, doesn't have a plan. He's not ready for that yet. But you want someone that can is good in the run defense, can elevate that and help you win on first and second down. Why not take Keldrick Falk? They need an edge rusher. I think he's probably the best one available in terms of pure talent. Maybe not trying to say talent, yeah, but like the size, the physical tools obviously are very tantalizing because he's 280 pounds and he's that strong. Like, come on now. Like, what are we talking about? But I think he starts a run on edge rushers that we're going to see to end the first round and go into the second round there's a pool of edge rushers that could go from 29 to 40 to 45 that all are very close together in terms of where they are as prospects. So there could be a lot of differences here at the very end of the first round. We will see. But it will be interesting nonetheless to look at. I think Keldrick Faulk will be the pick for Pittsburgh. For Kansas City. Now we move to pick 30. The Dolphins need to attack their next biggest need, and that is cornerback. And I have them taking Colton Hood out of Tennessee. You get your high upside receiver in Mekhi Lemon, and you get a high upside corner in Colton Hood, and you attack your two biggest needs in the first round right away with good prospects. I like this a lot. And if they walked away with Lemon and Hood in the first round, that would be an A+ for me for the Miami Dolphins. Then we get to pick 31 for the New England Patriots, and I have them picking TJ Parker, the edge rusher out of Clemson. Something I've learned recently about Clemson was the reason why a lot of these prospects have fallen, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Cade Klubnik, because Clemson was not good last year. But upon further research, everything indicates to me that the problem was coaching, not that these players actually got worse. So if TJ Parker is going to be more like what he was in 2024 than 2025, the Patriots are getting a strong, powerful edge setter with really good upside in pass rush that will dominate one side, that will dominate on the defensive line for a long time. And the Patriots, I said this in Mock 2.0 when I had them taking Zion Young out of Missouri. If you're going to continue the success that you had last year, if you're the New England Patriots, you need to do better building in the trenches. You need to build that out now and early, and TJ Parker fits that mold exactly. I think that would be a great fit for them as well. And then at pick 32, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking edge rusher Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. Malachi Lawrence has jumped up draft boards as of late from a taking a pick around the 40s, then he jumped up to being in the 30s, and now he is definitely a first-round caliber prospect with the explosive get-off, the length. He is ready to generate pressure off the edge right away, and the Seahawks thrive on quick wins. He is the fastest winner out of almost any edge rusher in this draft class. What was it? His time from snap to beating his man was like less than 2 seconds. I can't remember what the exact stat was, but it was something in that ballpark. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Seattle Seahawks. They might go cornerback here. I think they're definitely going edge or corner, in my opinion. But I think because of... Well, no, let me backtrack for a second. Because there's going to be a lot of corners early in the second round that are talented, and we'll get to that more in a second, and we look at the players that did not make the list here in this mock draft. But edge rusher or corner will definitely be the move for the Seattle Seahawks. But that makes the end of the first round. Who do we miss? Who is going to go into the second round in this mock? And first of all, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo. He's either going to the Vikings or he's not going in the first round, in my opinion. There's not many teams that need a safety that are willing to take a safety over another bigger position of need, in my opinion. And then a couple other corners that didn't make the list. Avion Terrell out of Clemson. I've had him mocked to the Seahawks twice in my first two mocks, so that's a possibility. Brandon Cisse out of South Carolina could be an option. I think he's definitely going to be more in the second round, though. Same thing with Chris Johnson, the corner out of San Diego State, who's also gotten some first-round buzz. And then the two defensive tackles, Caden McDonald and Peter Woods. One of those guys is definitely going to go in the first round, in my opinion. But the question of who's going to take him, I don't know. If it's the Bears, I don't know who's going to take a defensive tackle. I don't think that defensive tackle is such a big need on any other team that they're willing to take a defensive tackle in the first round. I think that you can wait, and there's going to be better value in round 2 for an interior defensive lineman. Then, offensive tackle, Max Ianachor out of Arizona State. That's how you pronounce his name, by the way. I just learned that. Ianachor is how it's pronounced. But he could go in the first round, for sure. If you don't like Caleb Lomu, maybe the 49ers take Ianachor. I had them taking that in my mock draft in 2.0, I think. Right? Or no, I stuck with Caden Proctor. No, never mind. But then a couple edge rushers, they didn't make the list. Cassius Howell out of Texas A&M. Zion Young out of Missouri didn't make the cut. And then C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. Because the Dallas Cowboys are trading up to get David Bailey, there's no one else in this first round that's going to take a linebacker in the first round. If it's not the Dallas Cowboys at pick 20, C.J. Allen is not going in the first round, unfortunately. That sucks for him. I don't want that to happen, but unfortunately, I think that's how it's going to play out. But that is my full first round mock draft 3.0. What do you guys think of this mock? Where's it good? Where's it bad? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. And also, we're going into the draft. I'm going to be posting a little bit more on social media, reacting to some of the most biggest picks in the first round. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Follow me on social media at The Shoemake Take. I'm also going to throw the entire mock up here for you guys to look at in its entirety. As you can see, we have every single pick, not every single, but the one trade I have predicted, which I think will happen. I will put my official prediction on that. I do think the Dallas Cowboys will trade up with the Arizona Cardinals to take David Bailey or Arvell Reese, whoever the Jets do not pick. But with that being said, hope you guys have enjoyed. Enjoy the draft. It's a great time to be excited for any NFL fan. And with that being said, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all so very much. And I will see you all next time. Ha ha.